the initial change, it's just been, I mean, a frustrating year with injuries, not just to Caitlyn, but obviously to Caitlyn. DB ultimately ends up leaving. And so that, you know, we already talked about how you need time to gel, you need time to build chemistry. So how frustrating has it been that the chemistry has just, it's like start, stop, start, stop.
It's definitely been a struggle.
The WNBA world just got shaken. Indiana Fever's star Big Aaliyah Boston just dropped a bombshell on Sue Bird's podcast. And yes, Caitlyn Clark was at the center of it all. Forget the polite, media-friendly sound bites. Boston didn't sugarcoat a thing. She spoke about the pressure, the chaos, the real grind of sharing a court with one of basketball's brightest stars. And fans, they're going to have to rethink everything they thought they knew about the Fever. Boston opened up about a season that's been anything but smooth. Injuries, roster shakeups, and high expectations hitting the team like a freight train.
I think just at the start of the season too, like, you know, you have your start of the season meetings and you're talking, and for us it was about, listen, like, no matter what happens in the season, it's next woman up and you have to be ready. And I feel like obviously struggling with injuries, and then, you know, you sign people and then they leave, and it's like, listen, like, whoever is next, be ready to play, because it doesn't matter, like, the games still keep coming, like, you still have to be ready to compete. And that's why I was so happy, like, when we signed Ari.
She admitted the struggle was real, but she didn't complain. Instead, she laid out the truth. Chemistry takes time. Growth isn't instant, and being teammates with a generational talent like Caitlyn Clark isn't just a privilege, it's a challenge. Here's the kicker. Boston isn't some rookie whining about a star teammate. She's a bona fide WNBA All-Star, the 2023 Rookie of the Year, and one of the most formidable bigs in the league. Yet even she had to navigate the storm of instant expectations and relentless social media scrutiny. This isn't about drama or personal beef, it's about reality. Boston exposed the double-edged sword of fame. More eyes on the Fever, more visibility for women's basketball, but also more pressure, more criticism, and zero room for error.
And it is. Obviously, you never want people to get injured, but the reality is you have to have that mindset, and it gives other people opportunity. And then you hope ultimately you're all better for it when the injured players come back. But I'm curious, specific to Caitlyn being on the floor, off the floor, and I saw you talk on your own podcast about like the spacing and how different it is. But when you're entering a game, like your mental prep, how does it change? Because it's two different systems essentially.
It is. Honestly, like when C is on the floor.
By the end of this interview, one thing was clear. If you thought playing with Caitlyn Clark was just another WNBA season, think again. This is the truth behind the headlines, the story nobody dared to tell until now. To understand the weight of Boston's words, you need to see the bigger picture. Indiana Fever didn't just stumble into this season. They were reshaping their identity. Year 3 for Boston meant coaching changes, roster shakeups, and a whirlwind free agency that turned expectations upside down overnight. Suddenly, the Fever weren't just contenders.
Be ready to get out, be ready, because she's looking. She's looking, going. She wants to play fast, super early in the offense. And like, we do that too as well here, but I think sometimes too now without her, like we can get into like a little more half-court execution, make the defenses work a little bit harder, first side, second side, third side. And then I think when you have like Kelsey, when Kelsey's playing in transition, get that ball up to her and make her
I've never seen anybody so bouncy.
Like
they were under a microscope. Every move, every possession, every shot was being dissected. Enter Caitlyn Clark, the height machine, ESPN darling, social media sensation, the future of women's basketball. Clark brought with her an avalanche of attention, ratings, and expectations. And yes, talent. But Boston didn't shy away from pointing out the reality. With that spotlight comes pressure. Every miss, they're developed through hours of practice, repetition, and trust. And Boston reminded the world that she too is part of this equation. The pressure isn't just on Clark, it's on the entire Fever roster. Every star has a gravity that affects everyone around them. And Boston, she's living it, navigating it, and still holding the team together.
So entering year 3 for you, which is this year, as you said, it's a lot of change.
Yes.
You have a coaching change. You have it's a big free agency year for you guys. And really overnight, what that big free agency year was, or big change was expectations change.
Yes.
So you guys went from like this up and coming, where it's like you're getting to know each other, to now it's like, oh, they could win the whole thing.
Yeah.
And still holding the team together. Her honesty shows the human side of pro sports, the side that social media clips rarely capture. This context is crucial. What Boston shared isn't just gossip. It's a lens into how elite athletes cope with expectations, scrutiny, and the messy, imperfect journey of building championship chemistry. Let's break it down. What Boston revealed isn't just a story. It's a masterclass in elite basketball dynamics. First, the injuries. The Fever's season has been a stop-and-start roller coaster. Key players sidelined, new signings coming in, others leaving. It's chaos. Yet Boston's message is clear. Next player up, stay ready. That's the mentality she's preaching, and it's the kind of leadership that doesn't make headlines but wins games. Then there's the chemistry factor. Boston didn't just talk about passing or plays, she explained the mental adjustment required to sync with Clark. When Caitlyn is on the floor, the game speeds up. Decisions are faster, movement is sharper, and the bigs have to anticipate passes without a word being said. Boston's example? She reads Clark's body language, the tilt of her head, the position of her feet. That's how top-level basketball works. Silent communication, instinctual reactions, and split-second decisions. And let's not overlook the external pressure. Fans expect perfection from the moment Clark arrived. Every turnover is a meme. Every missed shot sparks debate. Yet Boston doesn't rant, she educates. She reminds everyone that even an all-star like her isn't immune to the learning curve. She's navigating the pace, mastering timing, and growing into a partnership that critics assumed would be instant. Finally, Boston's honesty on social media criticism cuts deeper than any highlight reel. She's her own toughest critic, yet she has to filter out faceless trolls. The takeaway? Playing with a star isn't glamorous, it's relentless, mentally exhausting, and requires resilience. Boston isn't just surviving the spotlight, she's thriving under it. In short, this breakdown shows how Boston pulled back the curtain on what it's really like to share the floor with Clark. It's not just playing basketball, it's constantly adjusting to an elite mind. She has to anticipate plays before they happen, move in rhythm with a guard who processes the court at lightning speed, and keep the rest of the team in sync. That's a mental load most fans don't even consider. Here's where it gets tricky. Clark's presence brings unprecedented visibility, which should be a net positive. More attention for the Fever means more eyes on Boston, more opportunities, more growth for the team. But the flip side is relentless scrutiny. Every mistake is magnified, every learning moment dissected publicly. Boston called it out bluntly. The outside world didn't give the team time to build chemistry. There was no grace period, no patience for mistakes, just instant expectations. And it's not just about mistakes. Even praise can be a pressure cooker. Boston highlighted how every player feels the weight of Clark's spotlight. If Clark is the savior, then the team, especially its veterans and rising stars, carries the burden of living up to that narrative. That's a mental tug of war, and Boston is right in the middle, balancing her own growth while adapting to the pace of one of the league's brightest stars. The escalation is clear. This isn't a story about a diva teammate or a locker room feud. It's about the collision of superstar hype, social media obsession, and real-life athlete growth. Boston's honesty cuts through the noise, revealing the high-stakes environment that fans rarely see. Let's dive deeper. Boston didn't just talk about pressure, she unpacked the mechanics of playing with Clark. Timing, spacing, and instinctual reads are critical. She explained how, over the first few months, passes weren't always where she expected, plays didn't sync perfectly, and social media was relentless with clips of missteps. Yet she didn't throw blame. Instead, she detailed the process, how reps, film study, and on-court experience gradually built trust and rhythm. Boston's insight into Clark's elite vision is particularly striking. She described recognizing passes without verbal cues, reading subtle body movements, and anticipating decisions that are invisible to the casual fan. That level of synchronization doesn't come overnight. It's earned through countless possessions and shared court time. The Fever's improvement isn't magic. It's the result of persistence and mental toughness. But it's not all. Her perspective is a masterclass in accountability. She acknowledges struggles without deflecting, praises Clark without diminishing her own role, and frames the Fever as a team navigating a complex landscape. Every comment she made reinforced that elite basketball is as much mental as it is physical. Reading the court, anticipating plays, and surviving scrutiny. Finally, Boston tied it back to growth. Every challenge, from learning Clark's tempo to handling public criticism, was shaping her into a better player. It's a reminder. Being in the spotlight isn't just about surviving pressure. It's about leveraging it to elevate your game. That's the kind of maturity rarely captured in headlines, but it defines the Fever's season and Boston's leadership. Now let's look at the bigger picture. Boston's honesty isn't just a personal reflection. It's a lens into the WNBA's evolving landscape. Clark's arrival put the Fever under a national microscope, shining a light not only on Indiana, but on the league as a whole. More eyes on the team means more attention for every player, more sponsorship opportunities, and greater visibility for women's basketball. Boston's words make it clear. Clark's spotlight isn't a burden. It's a platform that benefits everyone willing to rise to the challenge. But visibility comes with a cost. Instant expectations, relentless criticism, and viral scrutiny create a pressure cooker for young athletes. Boston's perspective reveals a truth fans often ignore. Building chemistry, adapting to elite talent, and thriving under public pressure is a skill in itself. It's not about being the star or the supporting player. It's about how a team evolves, adapts, and grows in the face of immense attention. Beyond the court, Boston's reflections highlight the human side of professional sports. Athletes aren't just performers. They're people navigating growth, mistakes, and expectations while under constant observation. Social media amplifies every misstep, every awkward play, and every perceived flaw. By speaking candidly, Boston is challenging the narrative that women's basketball should deliver instant perfection. She's setting a standard for honesty and accountability that resonates beyond Indiana or the WNBA. The broader cultural impact is also significant. Boston demonstrates that elite talent and teamwork aren't mutually exclusive. You can celebrate a superstar like Clark while respecting the... Here's the bottom line. Aaliyah Boston just gave fans a reality check. This isn't a story about locker room drama or superstar jealousy. It's about elite athletes navigating pressure, expectations, and the intense scrutiny that comes with sharing the court with one of the WNBA's brightest stars, Caitlyn Clark. Boston's honesty cut through the noise, showing the grind, the learning curve, and the mental toughness required to succeed at this level. She reminded the world that chemistry isn't instant. Every glance, every pass, every adjustment is earned through repetition, trust, and time. Mistakes happen, misreads occur, but those moments don't define the Fever, they shape them. Boston's transparency about the early struggles with Clark, the mental shift required, and the relentless social media criticism shows the reality behind the headlines. And here's the kicker. She didn't just expose the challenges, she embraced them. Every struggle became fuel, every obstacle an opportunity to grow. That's leadership in action. Boston also made it clear that Clark's arrival isn't a spotlight on one player. It's a spotlight on the entire team. More attention, more cameras, more coverage. It's a chance for the Fever to elevate their game and for fans to see the depth, talent, and resilience of every player on the roster. That's the double-edged sword of playing with a generational talent, and Boston is thriving in it. Ultimately, Boston's words are a masterclass in maturity, accountability, and perspective. She balanced praise and critique, truth and respect, reality and optimism. This isn't just about basketball. It's about handling pressure, growing through challenges, and embracing the journey no matter how bright the spotlight gets. So next time you see the Fever on the court, remember, it's not just Caitlyn Clark's show. It's a team, it's a process, and it's a story of growth and resilience that Aaliyah Boston is leading with honesty and heart. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into the WNBA.